We are back in the Southern California desert. I'm here with Harry, for mine operator, and we are going to go metal detecting today. There's been big nuggets found out here.
Yeah, the record's 10.5 pounds.
There's some really nice exposed bedrock that I don't think anybody's touched, probably ever. I gotta be a miner here for a minute, hold on. Story of our lives, we have a flat tire. Right, Harry?
I'm not happy about this one. Sorry, Sean.
Spare's back on, we can fix the flat. We're all set. Everything's back to normal. We're gonna be pros at this before too long. I've got, what is this, Harry, a gold monster?
1,000, yeah.
Gold monster 1000. We're going out to a couple of washes, some areas where there's some veins and some prospects, and we're gonna see if we can find anything the old timers missed. I don't know if you can see that faint little trail out in front of Harry, but we're walking on a 130, 140-year-old trail, Harry?
Probably.
Yeah, this is cool.
Early 1900s for sure.
And these guys came out here looking for gold, and they found some. Apparently the gold out here is really pockety in the hard rock, so you can go on a vein that doesn't show very good with initial assays, and you mine in it and you find a spot that has a real nice pocket. There's been pockets out here found with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gold back in the day. And Harry was telling me earlier that there's some big nuggets found out here as well, but there's never been, correct me if I'm wrong, Harry, there's never been big nuggets found in the quartz veins.
If they did, they never reported it.
Okay.
I've never seen a report of coarse gold they just got reports of their average grades.
Okay.
So if they hit a big pocket with giant coarse gold, I've never read anything yet about that.
But there's been big nuggets found out here.
Yeah, the record's 10.5 pounds.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
In the washes and
south of here.
South of here.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, were they prospecting the washes or dry washing, or?
The old timers were prospecting the washes. They would use winnowing.
Okay. That's like the
yeah,
blanket thing,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, they would do that out here because they had no water.
Yeah.
And then they didn't see dry washers until maybe the early 1900s.
Way back in the,
but I don't know how much of that was done out here.
Yeah.
Most of it was hard rock.
So Detector's the new thing.
Yep. And then if you find gold, then get the dry washer out.
Gotcha. All right. Have you found nuggets out here before?
Not in the location we're going.
Okay. it's a new test spot here. We're gonna go, but the probability is pretty good. High, low. We're hoping. Cross your fingers for us.
Gold's where you find it.
Gold's where you find it.
This is typical quartz found out here. Very barren. No gold in it.
So don't even worry about that stuff. Now, what does that look like to you compared to something that, like, tell me what I should be looking for?
Well, this looks like it's been in the sun for a very long time, so it's most likely float. And I don't have any veins associated with it.
What about this? All this quartz here on this rock.
There you go. You found the source.
But it's just kind of, it doesn't look good.
No, this looks like it's just kind of in the host rock as a little crystal pocket.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's where gold comes from, but I've not had any luck in the hard rock.
But it came off from up there somewhere.
Yeah. What I look for out here is the iron staining, and then for the epithermals out here, it's generally gold in the limonite.
The limonite.
As you saw at the mine I took you to, Harry's mine.
Yeah.
Whereas in the limonite, that's where you find the majority of the gold here.
Red, rusty, yellowy, powder.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if that had iron staining, I might get excited, but.
So we're looking for mineralized, oxidized veins.
And if we find quartz. And if we find chrysocolla, that means that we're above where the gold probably is.
In elevation wise. Yeah. All right. Okay. Limonite, here we come.
So last time I was out here, I was with my Garrett pulse induction, and it's made for, you know, bigger gold, deeper gold, whereas yours is perfect for little gold on the surface.
The small stuff.
Yeah.
And looking up this wash here, we've got bedrock exposed, really good looking stuff. The idea is, in the last couple of years, there have been several floods out here, right?
Way more rain than I think this place has seen in a century.
Lots of rain, lots of movement out here in the desert. And even getting out here, the road was completely washed out. That's why we had to take the side-by-side. There's no way we could have made it out here in a truck. So there's been a lot of movement out here in the desert, and we're hoping that it's moved a lot of gold and exposed a lot of gold. So I used this same detector last year in Arizona with Dylan and Dan Hurd. So I have a little bit of experience with it, and I'm excited to get back to it and see if I can find some California gold this time instead of Arizona gold. All right, we're getting excited. We just got our eyes on the wash here.
The last time I was here, this was all sand. There was no exposed bedrock.
And everything now has exposed bedrock on it.
It's all different.
This is good news. And this is stuff the old timers, I mean, if this was full of sand for the last 150 years, the old timers never would have creviced any of this.
I don't know, but I do know that if they were here, there'd be big piles of rock on either side of the wash.
Okay.
There's one place I wish I could take you where it's evident. It's like 10 feet of just rocks piled up on either side of the wash.
Really?
Where they just went for everything. And so that's not really the case here. So that tells me there's no gold here, or they just never got around to it, or there wasn't enough, or who knows.
Yeah, or they didn't have the right tools, or it was small enough to where they couldn't winnow it, or they couldn't dry wash it, or whatever. Yeah. But there's some really nice exposed bedrock that I don't think anybody's touched probably ever.
So that mountain peak over there.
Let's see, where are we pointing?
That way.
Okay. Oh yeah, the kind of rounded one way in the distance.
On the other side of that, there's a big prospecting group, and they find a lot of nuggets over there.
Nice.
I won't give the name.
Yeah.
They find a lot of stuff out there. At least they had in the past, and there's a lot of gold veins there, hard rock gold veins.
All right.
But none of them are hard rock guys, so they just go for the placer stuff. So we're kind of on the west side of them, and my claim is to the south.
Okay.
And there are multiple prospects along that same strike of the vein going north that we're going to crisscross them through this wash.
So there's hard rock exposures, gold hard rock exposures in this wash.
There's two to the south. There's one vein that I remember, but it was mostly iron. It's mostly hematite with some quartz, and I never got any gold in that. But to the south, where the wash comes from, there's a bunch of prospects up there that have gold.
Okay.
Quarter ounce.
Look at all this exposed granite. I mean, this is great.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole valley, all the way up there, comes down into this 10-foot wide section.
Yeah.
Like everything that comes out of this valley comes right through where your feet are.
And we just stepped off of what used to be the trail. The trail used to go across here, and then it picks up over there along the side. So they were probably walking along this. It's all been washed out.
The trail's completely gone.
It's gone. We just walked off the trail there.
Yeah.
And it used to go along here, and it met up on that next little finger that comes down.
I see.
Because they were bringing mules up here, so they had mule trails.
I see.
And so a lot of them have been washed out. So you can see how much material used to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You technically could be in the dirt right now. Yeah, man, it's game on.
It's game on. Start swinging. Okay. Quit filming. Quit filming. Start making gold.
There's the water here.
Oh, is it a puddle? It just rained like what, 3 days ago?
About a week ago, and it rained for like 2 days straight.
Just poured.
Which never happens out here.
So for those of you guys who have never run a detector before, let me show you a little bit about how they work here. You've got your display. That's the sound. That's the sensitivity. You got discrimination here. We're going deep, and we're not going to discriminate between gold and iron. And then this bar tells me if it's iron or gold, if it's a target. But a lot of what you're going to hear is this. Right? Sounds like there's targets all over the place. When I hit a rock, sometimes that'll set it off. The little wire moves. Sometimes you get hot rocks like that. That's not a signal, that's just a hot rock. Because when I move this rock out of the way, the signal goes away. See that? Now you can kind of try and discriminate out of hot rocks a little bit by turning the sensitivity down. And then it's not as sensitive. See that? See the difference? But when you turn down the sensitivity, you lose gold as well. Or you lose the sensitivity of the detector to find gold. So you'll hear Harry and I walking around out here, and it's just beeping and bonking and boinging and doing all kinds of stuff. But gold, or a target, a metal target, has a very specific, that's hot rock. We can try and discriminate that out. Ground balance right over it. Kind of took it out. But gold has a very distinct little zip. If I hear it, I'll let you know. See, that's going same tone both ways, but I bet you it's that little rock sticking up right there. See, there's those rocks. So you got to be careful. Not everything that beeps is a target. Hot rock. There's a little tutorial on these detectors. But when you start hearing signals and you can discriminate out the iron, you're starting to find the lead and aluminum and gold. That's when you can get really good with these things, and you can just zip along, and if you're in a spot where there's gold, you can start finding it real easy. I'm still just a newbie with this thing, so I'm going slow and trying to find, you know, every target and every hot rock I got to move to make sure it's not gold. But I'm working my way up the wash, and I'm getting better at it. So hopefully we find some more targets here this afternoon. Well, I got my first hit. It's big. And the detector can't tell if it's gold or iron. So let me do a little digging here and see what I find. Well, we found it. It's a little boot nail. Look at that. That's actually pretty cool. So it works. I mean, that's not very big either, and I found that from 6 or 8 inches down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some old timer lost his boot nail.
Yeah. Put it in the keep bottle.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it works.
It works.
We're finding metal. Let's find the yellow stuff. All right, Harry, you brought me this rock. What were you telling me about it?
It's just a piece of float, but there's a lot of limonite in there, so decomposed iron sulfide, and it makes this little iron powder. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for out here. I don't think there's anything in this particular rock because it's close to an iron vein that's barren.
Okay.
But it's kind of, you know, I've found stuff like that has gold in it.
But that's the kind of stuff that brown, red, white.
Redder the better, as they say.
Yeah. Yep.
But I don't know if I'll be able to show you some red stuff on this trip, but yeah.
That's nice looking stuff.
Little pocket.
Yeah. Okay. That's what you're looking for. So here's a little vein of hematite, magnetite, iron, run right through here, and the detector obviously gets it. And there's one up by Harry's foot there too. You can see it across the wall there maybe. You're looking into the bright sun, but here's more of it. More of it's just a little fracture in the rock, probably a little fault, and the fluids came up through it. Irony fluids. What'd you find?
I don't know. It's like a little garnet or something.
Oh, that's cool. It is a little garnet looking thing.
Call it a darn it because it's worth nothing.
The detector didn't get it. You just saw it.
I just saw it, yeah.
Wow, that's cool actually.
Yeah.
That's a big garnet.
If anybody knows what this is, leave a comment. I have no idea. It looks like a garnet. I got to go to school for that.
Yeah, it's nice. Put it in your little pill jar.
Yeah.
Have you found any targets yet?
No.
No targets. Which is actually pretty impressive in itself. That this valley doesn't have very much trash in it, which is pretty unusual for detecting spots, right?
Especially this area. You'd expect to find 100 bullets by now in most areas.
Yeah, yeah. Now I mean, no one comes up here, I guess, is what it's telling me, even back in the day. I still haven't found anything other than that little boot nail. But here's another interesting spot, just to the left of my shadow. Yeah. Let me turn you off. Right here, nice little iron vein, right in the intrusive rock. So see that each side has that gray, large crystals, intrusive volcanics, and then running right down the middle there is that little iron vein. And it makes the detector sing, man, let me tell you. Harry hasn't found anything yet. We're working our way up this wash. It's almost more fun to dig trash than not dig anything. But we're still looking. I still have high hopes. I haven't lost faith yet. All right, we're back on the little mule trail here. Harry's got a prospect up here we're trying to get to that is a quartz vein. He's done some testing on it, and when he crushed it up and ran it through a sluice, he got about 1/4 ounce a ton. And so what he wants to do is take this little monster 1000 up and see if we can find anything in the quartz vein of the dump. But we're having a heck of a time because the wash got flooded out so bad that it washed a lot of this trail out, and so it all looks different, and it's hard for us to figure out which one of these little drainages this prospect was in. Oh, I got service again.
I lost all my visual cues, but we found the trail, so this is the trail.
Just follow the trail. It goes to it?
Yeah, this first little prospect is maybe a couple hundred yards up the hill.
Okay.
And then if your fun meter's pegged, we'll bounce. But if you want more, there's a couple more on top of the hill. But they're calorie expensive.
All right, well, let's see how we do with this one. But I mean, we're here and the audience wants to see gold, so let's give them gold. The funny thing when I'm out making these videos is this is going to be like a 20-30 minute video, I don't know, but it takes us all day to do it. And I'm sure there's people out there that are watching this going, of course you're going to go up and see those other 2 prospects up at the top of the hill. Why wouldn't you? Because it's hard. And it takes a lot of energy. And it's just, your motivation sometimes is not there, especially after you've been doing it all day. But it really is beautiful. I mean, looking across there, it's just not like back home with all the trees. You get to see all the exposed rock. And it's pretty green right now, isn't it?
It's never green.
Well, I mean, this is as green as it gets.
It's never green out here. It's always dead.
It's green. 100-year-old trail, 150-year-old trail. Yeah, the water's done a number on it. You keep saying, oh, it's 100 yards farther, and I still don't see any rock or prospect or anything. Here he says our first quartz vein right there, huh?
Yeah, east-west.
Okay, and that was kind of the quartz you said doesn't look very good.
No.
And the east-west veins are not very good.
No.
So north-south veins.
North-south veins.
Once they hit sulfides, they stopped, right?
Pretty much.
Or did they go down into the sulfides?
They didn't like sulfides.
Didn't like sulfides. Whereas my mine is all sulfides. We don't have an oxidized zone because up in the North Cascades it was glaciated less than 10,000 years ago, and out here this stuff's been sitting on the surface for, you know, millions of years. So it's had time to oxidize and get the rain and the water down to it, and you'll have tens or maybe hundreds of feet where the vein is oxidized to release the gold, and the old timers could mill it with mercury. But once they hit those sulfide zones down deep, it was real hard to release the gold at that point, especially if it was real fine grained. A lot of rocks here. All right, we got a little dump pile, it looks like. A prospect pit here. What do you got there?
Sulfides.
Sulfides.
Well, there used to be sulfides.
Oh yeah, all weathered out.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And this is where we're going.
This is the easy one.
This is the easy one.
This is the easy one.
This is the easy one, guys. This is the easy one. All right. We got exposure. We got open cut. We got, what do we got? A dump pile.
That's copper oxide. The black stuff.
The black.
Copper oxide.
Okay. That's good looking stuff then, right? All vuggy and pockety.
Very light. We want heavy.
Give us the tour.
The MO that these guys had out here was they would stack their ore on one side of their prospect and the waste on the other, and they'd take it down by a mule and bring it to the mill and find out if it was high enough grade.
Okay.
If it wasn't, it stays right here. In this case, it stayed right here. So this is where I got my 1/4 ounce per ton from.
1/4 ounce a ton isn't bad nowadays.
No, but
I mean, it's not way out here. It's not like mineable grade,
no.
but there's definitely some encouragement in there.
Yeah. So they were looking for pockets, and I suspect they didn't find it.
Yeah.
So they probably found the outcrop and got excited, and then it pinched on them, or they got bad news.
And is this one running north-south?
North-south.
North-south. This is what they were looking for. As we talked about earlier, redder the better. Kind of black, red, browns. There's some good looking stuff in here. And this is the spot.
Yeah, this is the spot. And see if I can find it. This is how wide the vein is, but there's a bunch of host rock in the middle. And this is where I think the vein is. You can see it slices open.
Mm-hmm.
You see that pocket opens up right there. So they chased that right here down. I don't know how deep they went. Judging by the pile, they didn't go far.
And so they out here, as opposed to up where we're mining, where it's all quartz veins and thick and goes for a long way, they were chasing these little tiny slivers of faults where they could be, you know, this is the widest I'm seeing, and it's maybe 4 or 5 inches. And like Harry just said, they could be 4 or 5 inches and be running 30 ounces a ton. But then it goes along here, it pinches, maybe the vein turned. I can see it there by Harry's foot, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, right here.
And that's where they were getting. That's all they could take, because it's just it's waste in the middle, and there's maybe another little slip over that Harry's sitting on. But that's what they were after, is that stuff right there.
And when you break this open, usually you get like a red powder that comes out. And that's the stuff we generally find gold in out here.
Do you see free gold in this ever?
I've never seen free gold in it.
No,
It's
but
not
you crush it up and it's there.
Yeah, and it's there.
Man.
So these are epithermal veins, and through the epithermal veins, you get a lot of this crusty stuff that gets through the cracks in the rock. It's mostly calcium. And I was telling Jason, I think that in this district, sometimes if the pressures and the chemistries are just right in these cracks, the gold will drop out without any other mineralization, no copper, no iron staining, nothing, just straight gold. And so I suspect that if you find the right one of these vents, you can hit a pretty rich pocket. And I'm told they've been found out here, and they're just like that.
Okay.
And so you can get to the surface of where this came up, and sometimes you get a big, 3-4 foot diameter disc of this stuff that'll be like 3 inches thick, just sitting on the surface where the epithermal vent, punched through the surface.
Yeah, okay.
And so I've metal detected those a lot, and I never found anything.
Once it reached the surface, the pressure's too low, and
maybe
the gold dropped out
guys
early.
that found them on saddles, and it was wildly rich. But I don't know if this is what they found. It could have been some other white mineral that they found, but I'm thinking it might be this, because it's epithermal related.
So we're going to come in with the detectors, and we're going to detect all this face, all these cracks. There's actually a little bit of copper right here in the host rock, it looks like. So I think even in these vein systems, there was stuff bleeding into the host rock.
Right.
And there's a little bit of blue here. So yeah, we can get in here with the detector.
But I think because the limonite and the iron staining's right here, I think the mineralization's already happened. So this is just the calcium after all the metals have dropped out.
Okay.
And it's just the fluids depositing calcium as it travels along the rock, like in your pipes at home.
Yeah, okay.
So chances are low, but I've not swung a detector in here.
Well, we got the right one to try it.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a hit, a real faint little hit on this one. And I can move it around. It's real faint. And if I turn it over, there you go, there's something in that rock that's setting it off.
There we go. Try these. Nothing. A little bit on that one, huh? Oh, maybe check the ground first.
No, that one's got a good ring to it.
That one's coming home. Oh,
Oh, sorry.
I was like, what was that? Don't touch the streams.
These two should go home with us. Yeah. All right, let's bring it in here.
Dude, the last detector I brought here didn't see any of that.
Really?
No.
New detectors. Better,
Well, it was the Garrett ATX Pro, and I didn't know what I was doing.
better vision. Better rock vision. All right, here's a hit. There's this little quartz stringer right here. And I've got it exposed kind of down the side here. And it's right here. Turn my gain down just a hair. Even with the... That's a good little zing there. All right, you got something to chip on it? Let me turn this off.
What do you got here?
It's right here, this little slab right there.
Yeah, see the quartz?
Yep.
That doesn't, unless this is like, you know, super rich, this doesn't meet the ratio.
Oh yeah, the mining ratio, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be pretty much pure gold to make it.
What was that guy's name again we met in Alaska who introduced us to that?
Al?
No, Al's the Navy SEAL.
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron.
He told us about that. I don't know if he spells his name with 2 A's, but...
Yeah, 2 A's.
We didn't bring a jug this time.
This is how I'm caught prospecting every time I come out to break rocks.
Well, it didn't cost anything.
Okay, hold on. I can't film and do this. I gotta be a miner here for a minute. Hold on. We're getting it. If there's something there, we're gonna get it. Here, mommy.
You should use a demo hammer.
I know, we should, or at least a chisel. We should have brought a chisel.
I didn't think we were gonna get this far today.
No. It's only 2 o'clock.
It looks like it's 5.
It does. Feels like it's
All right,
5.
let's see if you get a hit on that with your detector.
Okay.
See if we got it. Missed it.
Still there. It's
Still
not
in-
as strong as it was, but
Yeah, see that little nub of limonite right there?
right
Yeah.
here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that.
I just put that nugget right in the bag.
Yeah.
I think we
Cool.
just keep taking more.
Yep. Without hitting each other's fingers.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, our first one there we got, but listen to this one. That's a good one.
Pointing to iron though on your detector.
Yeah. Harry's bringing his detector in.
Yep. I'm getting something right there.
Right there, yeah, I'm still in as well. Try over here on this knob.
Mine says iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, listen.
Yeah.
See that pop? Yeah, it's iron.
Iron.
Iron again.
Well, look at where the red is, though. It goes. I mean, this is host rock, right?
Yeah.
And then this little red limonite band.
So this is altered host rock, and then some of the vein got on here, and you get this little weird, like, they look green to me. That little green bugs. It's just altered host rock.
Well, do you want to beat on this, or you want to just?
No,
It's garbage.
It's just reminds me of, it's similar structure to what my mine has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same strike, the same rock, same ground. It's just we're 1,000 feet away from it.
Yeah. Here we found a can, but it's not just any can. It's a cool can because on the bottom it says Ortega's Chilies. I don't know if you can read that. I hope you can. Ortega's Chilies.
Yeah.
How old's that can, Harry? Opened with a can opener?
Gotta be 100 at least. But
If anybody knows anything about Ortega's chili cans, leave a comment below. That's pretty cool. Ortega's Chilies. We'll leave it here. It's an artifact. All right, we've got a couple of rocks. We've taken some samples from our hole here. We're gonna move on. Harry's got another spot we're going, right?
it's very unimpressive.
Okay.
But I want to check it.
Yeah, let's check it. Well, and we're here. We've come all this way. Okay, we're at Harry's new and final spot. Our favorite spot or the white stuff spot?
It's the white stuff spot.
It's the white stuff spot. You're saying this is altered andesite?
I think it is.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'd have to ask the geologist.
Oh,
I might know one or two.
we don't have them around here. Yeah, but they were drifting in on this, huh?
Yeah, they got excited about this.
They did get excited about this. What happened here? So it looks like we have fine grained stuff on top, touching coarse grained stuff, and
Is that fluorite? Looks like fluorite.
Ugh.
Or a calcite. Maybe green calcite.
yeah, it's a pretty big old crystal there. Huh, that's nice.
It's not gold.
It's not gold,
We want gold.
but yeah, where's the yellow stuff? So here's some quartz that looks like is in this stuff. Here's all this is their little stockpile, you're saying. Right here next to the drift.
Oh, yep, there'll be a pile on one side or the other. So
Yep.
that might be their ore pile.
This is their ore pile. And it looks like they were after the quartz. So there's a quartz vein in here somewhere?
You can see it running right down the middle.
Right down the
At
middle.
least that's what I recall, but it's been a while.
Let's see. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, right here, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, it's narrow. What else we got in here? Any critters in here? No critters, that's good.
So what's interesting about this spot is across the big wash that we drove across with the side-by-side today,
Yeah.
there's a prospect just like this, but it's shot full of chrysocolla.
Okay.
Instead of a quartz vein, but it only runs up in a chimney right in the center of it. There's nowhere else, just right through the center, it shoots right through it.
It's not a vein, it's a chimney.
It's a chimney.
Wow. That's cool. But they were following this right here, I guess, huh?
Yeah, they must have got their report back that it was garbage.
Yeah, they did a lot of work in here. This is a lot of work. Not many people know how much work this is. Harry and I know how much work this is.
Yeah.
There's the fine grain stuff and the coarse grain stuff. It's all intermixed. trying to tell a good story here. I don't know if this is a fault that has the contact to two different rocks and it's just all chewed up. That's kind of what it's looking like.
I think it's just a vent.
Just a vent? Why do you...
And it's perpendicular to what the paying veins are doing.
That is true, yeah. This is 90 degrees to the other one we're just at. But yeah, there's definitely a contact here with the andesite. This may be a baking zone. It's hard to tell. This is all baked and white over here. Well, it must not have run very good because the portal's only 10 feet back there, and this is all their ore they saved. All right, I got two little hits here. I got this one. And I got this one. Put those in a bag, take them home. They're both red though, which is funny. It's funny because this whole pile of ore is mostly white. Even the quartz in there is white. And it's really quiet. The whole pile is just not a whole lot going on. Here's a piece Harry found. And this is why they got excited about this. There's a little quartz stringer in the andesite and all these little pyrite cubes here. Actually, some of those are pretty big. And that's a big cube. That's a big cube too.
Could this be rhyolite as well?
It could be. Rhyolite's even more quartz than andesite.
There's a lot of quartz in this.
Yeah, look at that. That's what you want to see. But apparently there's no gold in it. All right, well, we got a couple little samples we'll take back home, but the sun's getting pretty low today, so I think we're going to call it a day. Thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't checked out Harry and Mine Operator, go check out their channel. I'll leave a link down below. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Well, we have a geology correction here. Apparently, a lot of the rock, the host rock around, is quartz monzonite, which is an intrusive, fairly felsic granite. You know, you'd call it granite. I think what's happening is where the rock is real white, like what we saw earlier, is the quartz monzonite is being altered and baked by the hydrothermal fluids that are coming up through these cracks. And where the quartz monzonite's real white and crumbly and easy to break and looks like that altered state, that's where you're going to be looking for the veins and the gold and the rich zones. So that could be a real indicator for Harry when he's out here prospecting, is look for the altered quartz monzonite. You know you're getting close to some veins that have some real good gold in them.